mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia SBDC's webinar series, Google and Beyond, Marketing and Managing on the Web. This series is designed to take a look at tools and techniques to help small businesses take their business to the next level. Today's webinar is Advanced Google Search Techniques. All of our Google and Beyond webinars are presented by Ray Sidney Smith, web and mobile strategist, author of Slow-Mo Success, Social Media, Local, and Web Small Business Marketing Strategies Explained, and president of W3 Consulting. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type those into the question window and Ray will do his best to answer them. Without further ado, here's Ray Sidney Smith.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you to the Virginia SBDC Network for having me here for Beyond Google Marketing and Managing on the Web series. Today, as Tracy talked about, we're going to be talking about advanced Google search techniques. And so we're going to talk about all the various fun stuff that goes on behind the scenes in Google that allows you as a business owner, as a small business owner, to be able to take advantage of all of the various information data silos that Google has underneath the hood. Just to talk about a couple of housekeeping items. One, feel free to ask questions now during the webinar. There's the webinar question panel, as Tracy talked about. Go ahead and ask as many as many questions as we have time for. I'm going to try to keep the lesson as short as possible, within 45 minutes, so we have a good chunk of time for questions at the end. And so feel free to ask questions. Feel free to follow at W3 Consulting for asking questions after the webinar. So if you happen to be watching the webinar via archives afterward on the recording, just go ahead and hashtag those beyond Google and I'll be happy to answer those as well. And then of course follow at Virginia SBDC for announcements regarding future webinars and other information that the Virginia SBDC network puts out there. Alright, so that takes us on to our agenda for today. Today we're going to talk about basically the Google Advanced Search page. I'm going to walk you around it so that you get a good idea about what the Google Advanced Search page is like, and then of course how to harness some of its powers from that one individual page. And then I'm going to talk about the Google search operators, and that means we're going to go into the Google search interface from its native space, that is going to google.com and just working directly from the one field, what I like to call the Google One field. And that's just that one field in the center of the google.com, the sparse page that they show you. And then I'm going to talk about some of the advanced search functions within other Google products and some of the other Google tools. You'll see that some of them actually blend over and work and match the Google advanced search operators that we'll be talking about. So I just want to show you around some of the advanced search tools and some of the other Google tools. So with that, I'm going to just jump over to the Google search page, and as you can see here, they are showing us the logo that they're doing Google Doodles for every one of the World Cup items going on today. And let me just put this into full screen mode here for you. And so what you have here is the Google search screen, and as you can see, if you see the one bar in the center of your screen, you can type in pretty much any search. Google itself is a search engine, but it's also a directory. And that means that it indexes websites and then it crawls them. That means it looks at each of the web pages out there on the internet and tries to take from them, tries to glean from the information from those sites, whether or not they're relevant to the person who's doing the search. Now, the way in which they know what's relevant to the person is based on a couple of different criteria, and I just wanted to go over them. One, it's what I actually type into the search field here. In this case, I'm going to type in my small business, right? So Google knows what I want based on what I type into the field. The typical search is between 2 and 3 words. It's actually coming down to 2 now because of this automated drop-down field. As you can see, as soon as I started typing, Google actually starts to go into action. It starts to look at the keys that I'm typing, and it starts to give me this drop-down menu of options of things that it thinks I might be wanting to search for, so that I don't have to type as much, because it literally is guessing with every keystroke. So every keystroke makes a difference to the Google search algorithm now today. And then of course it's timeliness. Timeliness, Google looks at what time of day, what day of the month, what year, those kinds of things, the seasons, for what I might be looking for. So if I was typing in something that was happening now, like the World Cup, it would know that if I were typing in Brazil, that, not only does it give me some drop-downs about the 1985 film called Brazil, and so on and so forth, but notice then the drop-down menu immediately shows World Cup, because it knows right now that's timely information for me. So understand that Google's also looking at timeliness as it relates to the information that you're providing. So it looks at my intent, tries to match it up with the relevance of the web pages that it's indexed and in its directory, and then finally it looks at the context of the person who's doing the search. That is, Google knows a lot about you by virtue of collecting data over time. So as you can see here, I'm logged into this. I haven't actually logged into this in my Google Apps account, so it doesn't know as much information about me probably in my Google Apps account as it does in my personal account, but it knows a fair bit about me. And so even if I'm not logged into the Google search, into Google Search or into Google Apps in some way, shape, or form, Google's still tracking some data within the browser as well as any other searches that have been done on this particular computer. And since most people in an office environment are using one computer per person, you are going to, of course, have a lot of information that's geared towards you. It won't be as accurate because if somebody else uses your computer or something like that, or if it's a public computer, it's not going to be as accurate. But for the most part, Google has a good idea about the user and what the user currently does on this particular terminal. Okay? So that's how Google works in terms of trying to outline who you are and trying to show you some information about it. I'm going to take you over to the Google Search Advanced page, and you just do that by going to / and then advanced_search, and that will take you there. Now, if you do any search initially from the page, you can then do some more advanced search functionality, which I'll show you in a little while, to take you back to this page. My first recommendation for you is going to change your default search page in whatever browser you're in, so I'm not going to show you how to do that, but whatever browser you happen to be in, I would recommend you change your default search page, not forever, but maybe just for a couple of weeks, to this page, which is the advanced search page. So, in every browser you can change the page that it opens up by default. Actually, quick tip, you could actually change the default page for most browsers to multiple tabs. So you can actually open up Google, Mozilla Firefox, as well as Internet Explorer, and force it to actually open several web tabs at once. So if you go to the same web pages every morning when you start your computer and get into the office or into the retail shop, you can actually force the browser to do that. Usually it's just typing in the URLs, basically http://www.google.com/advanced_search, comma, so the comma is the delimiter, and then the next URL, and then the next URL, just basically separating them with commas. Some of them will take other delimiters, but for the most part, you just basically put those commas and it will open up all of them when you open up that particular browser, which can be very handy for productivity purposes. Okay, so why do I say open up to the advanced search screen for a couple of weeks as your default page? Well, because it has all of these amazing fields for being able to lock down and help you concentrate on which searches you should really be focusing on. So many times, yes, the one bar and typing in your 2 or 3 words and having Google guess at what you're going to do, you're looking for is really fantastic. But the reality is that you probably know what you're looking for better than Google does. And so why not be much more exacting in your search and therefore get to information faster? And as a small business owner, time is money, and you don't have a lot of that time. It's the same 24 hours for all of us, and we want to be able to get in as much time as possible. So being able to use the Google Advanced Search means being able to lock down and tighten up exactly what it is you're looking for so that the first search gets you the best information and gets you right to the data first. Okay? So let's talk about the Advanced Search page and really what it is doing. Okay? So, and let's just go down through the fields, and that way we can talk about each of them as we go through it. So, in the first field, it says all these words. That means everything I type in here, Google will take that as an opportunity to look for all of the words on, relevant to the search page, the search engine results page that it displays, right? So Google.com is the search engine, main page, or here at the advanced search. Once you do the search, you get resulted, or you terminate at the search engine results page, okay, which we call sometimes SERPs, okay? So the SERP, or SERPs, is what results from you doing these searches. Okay, so you have the all these words field. So everything you type in here is going to matter to what Google looks for, all right? Now, if you type in the second field, this exact word or phrase, that means Google only looks for the words in that exact string, okay? So if you have that string saying something that you don't want it to, it's going to potentially, give you poor results, and it will negate anything that is not within that search string, okay? So if you type in Volkswagen Beetle, it's obviously not going to look for the ladybugs or anything else like that. It's going to look for Beetle specifically. I mean the car, that is, specifically. All right. Next up, you have any of these words. Any of these words in Boolean language, for the folks who know what Boolean operators are, it's basically OR. It says to me, any of these words that show up, just look for anything that shows up as it relates to these. This is the most fluid of the search options, and the most broad, okay? So it says anything. So if I type in World Cup, Brazil, US, which is the game going on right now, it's going to look for all of those search terms, notwithstanding the other one, okay? So it might pull up the United States Wikipedia page, the Brazil Wikipedia page, maybe some information about Brazil the film like we talked about, and then it's going to look up World and Cup, okay? So it's going to look at all of those words and try to make sense of them, but it's going to look at all of them individually, all right? Then we have the next field, which is none of these words. Now, the reality is that you can't use this field without using one of the others above it, okay? So none of these words equates to removing a particular search criteria. So, for example, if I typed in Beetle, as we talked about earlier, down here under none of these words, if I put in Volkswagen, it's going to, of course, now remove any page that has an instance of Volkswagen in the search terms, because I'm not looking for the search. I'm not looking for the manufacturer of Volkswagen. I'm looking for any other searches that are inclined toward the word Beetle. Okay, that makes sense. All right, good. So next up is a numbers range. So if you happen to be looking at something in terms of a year, so let's go back up here, and we're just going to type in. I hope I'm spelling Volkswagen correctly here. I think it might be, is it E-N or O-N? I can't remember. I'm going to put O-N. All right. So say that I'm looking for a 1995 to a 2000 Volkswagen Beetle. Okay? Here goes a search where numbers ranges actually matter. Okay? And so the numbers ranges are going to, of course, show me only Volkswagen Beetles from 1995 to 2000. That is, any pages related to that specific search string. So really, really important to me, because I want to be able to see only those particular ones. So note that the first three fields are for where you type in your search strings. The second two sets of fields, that is none of these words and number ranges, are limiters. Basically, they are, I want to see everything except this data. Okay? So don't show me this, only show me this. It keeps narrowing down the fields. Okay? And so we're moving from most broad down to more exacting details. Okay? Now we can go down to the next set, which is for narrowing your results, it says. All right? Now we can narrow those results by language. So if we only want to find something in a specific language, we can go ahead and do that. I select English. We can also select by regions. That is, those are countries or continents, those kinds of things. And so we can go through and we can choose a particular country or continent. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and find the United States and select the United States. Next up is last update. Now, this is where you actually get to force Google to do something that's not most timely. Okay, so generally Google's looking for the most timely information. You can actually, in the advanced search results, you can actually stop them from doing that and actually say, listen, I want to see things from anytime, the past 24 hours, past week, past month, or past year. So you can actually say, listen, it can go back as far as a year from past year, and I want to see it. Okay, so you can go from a year to any time. You know, its general role is any time, but then you can actually limit that down to more and more recent information. Okay, not necessarily what's happening right this moment. All right, here under site or domain, you can actually limit information to a specific site or domain. So in this particular case, you can choose to search the Volkswagen website. So in this particular case, I can literally type in, I'm going to guess that it's .de. I'm going to actually search this on while we go. But you can basically, I'm going to just put .com just for the sake of it. But the point is that you can now go ahead and choose a website or a domain where you want to limit that particular page so that you can only see information on that page. It's almost like going to the website itself and using their search tool on their website. Except most websites, unless they're using Google as the backend to do their search results are not as good as Google's going to be. Google knows how to index, Google knows how to search web pages, and they do it best. And so it's usually a good idea to use that when it comes to searching business websites and that kind of thing. I wouldn't say that as it relates to, say, a library database or anything else like that. Any website that has a database is going to have trouble because Google can't necessarily index those as well. That is, they cannot index them as well today, but that's probably going to be not going to be the case in the future. So I have been spelling Volkswagen wrong because it is EN, and they're actually VW.com. So there we go. So VW.com. I'm going to go up here and correct my misspelling, and that way we don't get any. And Google will probably tell me that I spelled it wrong, which is really helpful of them. But here we go. So we put in a domain. We only want to see basically 1995 to 2000 Volkswagen Beetles that show up on VW.com. Next, we're going to search for terms anywhere in the page or in any number of spots in the page. Okay? I'm going to go over this, and then later on I'm going to show you the search operators for these, so I'm not going to actually use them right now, but let's go over them just for purposes of knowing what they are. Okay? So anywhere in the page. That means Google looks at the entire composition of the web pages that it's searching and uses those search terms that you're using and the delimiters to be, and the limiters to be able to go ahead and show you data. If we go one down to in the title of the page, that means it goes up to this. See where my cursor is pointing? And you see how it says Google Advanced Search here? Across each of these tabs that I'm showing you right now, these are the titles of the pages, okay? And you can see there's, this is in my email, and so it says the subject line of the email becomes the title of that particular web page that's being displayed. And so Google knows what the title is of every web page that it indexes and uses that data to be able to give you a better search outcome. Okay? So that's the title. In the text of the page, it's plain as it sounds. It's the text that actually shows up and appears in the body of the web page. Okay? Next is the URL of the page. That's the the link that appears at the top of your browser, the one you would type in if you were going to it. And so it actually looks at the words that appear in the URL of the page to be able to tell us are those words appearing in the URL? If they are, then that's the web page that I want. If it's not, then it's not. Okay? Also then, it looks for in links to the page. Okay? So it looks for websites that have links to that page, basically what we call inbound links in search engine optimization language in the SEO world. So it looks at all of the links out there on the web that have these words, Volkswagen Beetle, in the links directing to a particular page, which means that it's highly likely that it will be very relevant to me because a lot of people have linked to it with those words as the text to the link to this page, which makes it seem like that would make it very useful to me. Okay. Next up is safe search. So you can of course include or exclude explicit content. Those can include adult entertainment sites and those kinds of things that you may not want to see within the search results. And so you can go ahead and filter explicit results if you only want to see safe results. Okay. And next, they give you a reading level. And so you can see the various reading level scores here. What they're using is the Flesch reading scale. All right, and the Flesch reading scale, or a modified version of it, they're constantly tweaking it. But the point behind it is the Flesch reading scale is a scale that tells you the level of reading proficiency of the reader. And so you, of course, get a Flesch reading scale of your writing, and the writing, of course, is in a number increment. I'm not going to get into it, but the point is, it says you're basically this level of reader. Will be able to read this, or this is too difficult for this particular level of reader. So if your reader base are children, you don't want to be writing at an advanced graduate school level. You don't want to be using highly scientific terms, those kinds of things. Well, here the reading level is based on that. So if you're helping in a children's bookstore, you would probably want to set your reading level preferences here in the advanced search so that you can have basic results. And then you can go more advanced if you need more advanced results. Okay.
Ray, can you repeat that? Is it Flesch or Flush scale?
It's Flesch. It's F-L-E-S-C-H. Okay, the Flesch reading scale. And many different blog tools now have them embedded within them. And it's a very, very handy tool for being able to know what your own reading proficiency is, and then also what your writing proficiency is, and then of course the reading proficiency of your readership or your audience. And so it was based on the author, Rudolf Flesch. I believe he was Austrian born or something like that, but he developed the whole Flesch-Kincaid reading test and so on and so forth. Okay.
And we had one other question, I'm sorry, about the site or domain, and they wanted to know if you had to use the www.
No. So in this particular case, you can. It just depends on the website. In general, most websites allow what's called a naked domain now. So you don't have to put in www. Okay, in front of the domain, because it automatically forwards to basically the vw.com IP address where the hosting is. So that's different from some websites where you might see this. You might see www.site.library.us or something like that. If you see the www and then you see more dots than would normally appear, basically the two dots, basically you'd have www dot and then your business name.com. If there's multiple dots, that means that there's multiple what are called subdomains. That site is a subdomain, and www is actually a subdomain of site, which is a subdomain of library. Okay? If you see multiple dots, you need the www. If you do not see that, then you don't. Okay? Now, if the site doesn't work, if you come up with a blank score, then put in the www, and maybe there's something wrong with the site. But in general, today we don't really need the www. All right. Any more questions? Feel free to ask them. This is great. Okay. Next up is file format. Google has been expanding the World Wide Web. And they've been expanding the World Wide Web by expanding the number and types of file formats that it can index. Basically, once upon a time, when you did a Google search, you would, or any web search, you could only really see a couple of different types of files. They would be files that the web browser could only render. Okay? That means that the web browser couldn't load it in itself. It didn't see it. Okay? Today, PDFs, Word documents, basically all the Microsoft Office documents, many different types of open source file formats, and then of course any of the files that Adobe or Google themselves have opened for purposes of indexing can now be seen. So you can see here that the Adobe Shockwave format, rich text format, .doc, which also now includes .docx, PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, the Google Earth files, and then PDFs, more Adobe files, and then Autodesk file formats, which are AutoCAD kinds of, I think they're AutoCAD, I may be wrong, but they're sort of, CAD style renderings. So you can say, I only want to see these documents that might appear. I don't want to see web pages, I want to see these documents that might be available to me for downloading. So if you're looking for white papers, or if you're looking for annual reports, or if you're looking for other kinds of business information from places, you could easily select PDF and limit the search to only those kinds of things. Okay. Next up is usage rights. Now, usage rights tend to work, tend to be an issue in digital media, which is, visual media, that is. So you'd be looking for photographs or video or that kind of thing, and being able to use that in your marketing in some way, shape, or form. But it gives you the options here. So we'll talk about that when we get to Google image search. But the point is that you have a couple of different kinds of licensing. You have you can filter the search by no filter by license at all, because you're just consuming the information and you're not using it in any way, shape, or form. But then you decide that you want to use this particular information in something in your business, and so therefore you have the options of free to use, which means as a consumer. You then have free to use or share as even commercially. That means as a business you can use this. Then, of course, free to use, share, or modify, meaning that you can go ahead and change this and potentially use it as under the defense of the fair use doctrine under the copyright under copyright law. And then you have the free to use, share, modify. That's again as a consumer, and then free to use, share, or modify even commercially. So as a business, you can modify this, and under fair use, you can do that. Now, no, not legal advice, but remember that fair use doctrine is a defense. It is not a right. So we have to very clearly understand that when we are using other people's material, we should always be crediting them. We should be asking them for permission to use it when appropriate, and then of course making sure that we understand that when we do modify something under the fair use doctrine, we are basically representing that we believe that we could defend ourselves in front of a judge, that what we've used in terms of modification is defensible under the fair use doctrine. So it's not a right, it's a defense. That means that you can use it when someone tells you that you're wrong. Okay, so it's not something that you've got by virtue of existing. All right. So we have this find pages. We're looking for Volkswagen Beetles 1995 to 2000 on the VW website. All right, I've pretty much left all the other ones all the same, but now we at least know what these fields are. Now we can go ahead and click on the advanced search field, and voila. We now have a page that's looking at various different websites. Now, in this particular case, it shows me a couple of different things. One, the top here, where they all say ads or ads, so we can, of course, ignore those. So we're going to just jump down to the first set of searches. You can see here that Beetle, Volkswagen America, VW.com, it sees the word Beetle and VW Beetle, and it knows that that's what I'm looking for. Okay. And you can see that it didn't really find anything delimited to the years 1995 to 2000, and so it gave me the next best material. Okay, and so here it's saying, well, nope, there's nothing here that's 1995 to 2000. Oh, here goes something. It goes 1998, the new Beetle, so it's got some content down there. But it's giving me the best guess based on these choices. Now, no, I could have left out also the HTTP here and deleted that, and in the search field, that is, and that would have worked just the same. So you can see that the results page here is identical, notwithstanding the fact that I put in the http:// as opposed to just leaving it out and putting vw.com. Okay, but this leads me now to the next phase of advanced Google searching. All right, so now we've used the advanced search, and you can think of all of the various ways in which you can use Google Advanced Search. You can look at all the various fields, and in just 2 or 3 glances, you can decide, okay, these are the things that I need, these are the things that I'm looking for, these are the things that I'm not looking for, and this is the result that I'm looking for. Okay, so when you hit Advanced Search, you should be getting a very refined view of what you're looking at. All right, now as you can see, Google actually does you a favor. When you do an advanced search, they actually show you the search operators that they use in the process of developing each of the searches that they do. Okay, so here they've shown us the search terms, which I used all, basically all of these words. I used that first field. Then I asked it to limit by site, and so it used the site operator site : to be able to limit to the VW website. And then I asked it for a number range, and you can see that it used the 2 dots, the 2 periods, between 2 number ranges to show that I'm looking for a range of numbers. Okay? Really, really helpful for me, because in the future now, I could easily, when I come to Google.com, is I can type in those search fields so that I can quickly get to this just by typing in these myself directly into the search field. Okay? So that's why I said earlier that you should change the primary site to google.com/advanced_search, because once you've done it a couple times and you start to see the way in which they use the search operators, you actually start to learn them, and therefore you can start to use them and manifest them in your business, and therefore you can teach them to people and use them more, which means that your searches are going to be faster and they're going to be more on point. They're going to be better suited for you and what you're looking for. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's start talking about some of the different kinds of searches that we do in Google and why we do those particular searches. So Google has several kinds of databases, okay? Google has, of course, the primary all-web search. That's the one you're seeing here in front of you. Basically, whatever I'm looking for, if I just type it into Google, Google will find it for me. But that's not the only type of search that Google provides. Google also provides various different types of data silos. Those data silos are sometimes shown up here in what's called the black bar. But the black bar here, in this particular case, I don't need that to go up, this is Google Search, which is the all-encompassing search, and that means it tries to mash together all the various silos into one. There's Google Image Search. Basically, Google goes in and looks at images on websites differently than it looks at text. Makes sense, right? Because images are and generally can't be read the same way. Then Google looks at video, and video primarily across all of the major websites that host video, and then of course within its own YouTube, the Google-owned search engine and social network, video search engine and video social network. Google then also looks at Google Sites, groups. It looks at the patents that are existing out there, which are all public record. It looks at its Google Shopping database and the data silos so that you can buy something. For instance, if I'm looking for, red tennis shoes, Google knows that I'm not just looking for anything. I'm looking to buy red tennis shoes. So it gives me more information about how to buy those red tennis shoes. Now, if I typed in men's, now it knows that I'm trying to buy men's red tennis shoes in the color red. And so then it says, oh, look at that. There goes some red tennis shoes that I might want. And if I clicked on that, all right, it's going to take me, I'm going to open up the tabs here so that you can see, it actually takes me to the website so that I can purchase it, all right? So it's very important to understand where and how Google is taking me to places. But notice I did that search and immediately Google showed me the shopping tab, okay? Because Google presumes that if I'm looking for shoes, I'm looking to buy them. And therefore, it takes me immediately to the shopping network. And now that I'm in the shopping data silo, if you want to call it that, now Google can show me all sorts of other information. Do I want to find things in stock nearby? Do I want to find things that are new items? Okay, so clearly nothing's in stock nearby. But maybe I only want shoes that are between $60 and $100. And so then it only shows me those red tennis shoes that are available within the $60 to $100 range. And then I can move down and look at different categories, colors, brands. You see, Google knows from those initial searches what I'm looking for, but from a business perspective, it also knows who's selling what, and it tries to display that information to you. Okay, so if I'm looking for a size 11.5 in my tennis shoes, now all of a sudden it can show me all the various shoe sizes within my price range that fit my criteria. Okay, so do you see how that works? Google has all of these various data silos, maps, news, books, flights, and so on and so forth. They're all in here, and they all get mashed up. But what we try to do as businesses is we try to understand where those data silos are and to hone our websites toward those where our consumers, our buyers, are going to most likely go, be led to by Google, and therefore be brought out of. Okay? But let's get back to searching. So here I do a search for various things. It's going to take me into its various silos based on what I might be looking for. If I were to type in a particular address, say I was looking for a dentist, okay, and I typed in a dentist in Alexandria, Virginia. Of course, I'm still in the Google Shopping area, so it's like, wait a second, what's going on? It gets confused, and that's why it gave me that notice. But if I click on Web now, notice that it immediately jumps me back to this, and look, it gives me a map on the right-hand side. The map, of course, is because it's telling me there are dentists in Alexandria, Virginia, and if I'm likely typing in dentist Alexandria, Virginia, I'm looking for one. So it can give me that option. And then, of course, as I scroll down, it also gives me the Google Plus local pages, which are matched to now the Google My Business pages. So the Google My Business pages, which is basically a takeover of Google Places and part of Google Plus Local. Here goes all of the dentists that might be in Alexandria, Virginia, that I might want to go ahead and read reviews of and potentially contact for to have see me. Okay, so you can see all the various data silos. You can go ahead and check them out and see other things. As I talked about earlier, when you do a regular search here at Google.com, you have the opportunity to click on the search tools here, and that's of course going to give you some of these advanced Google search limiters. Okay, so you can go ahead and choose options for location and for time and also reading level and other kinds of things. All right. Google also gives you the ability to set some preferences. All right, so if you click on the gear in the top right-hand corner of your Google search engine results page, you can go ahead and click on Search Settings. Here, you have the option of doing a couple of things. One is turning on or off Google Instant. Google Instant is that automated drop-down menu that I talked about at the very beginning, where Google starts to give you all of the options before you even finish typing. So you can always show it, you can turn it off, and that kind of thing. You can also, of course, filter explicit results out the gate so that you can make sure that it safe search is on, and that will, of course, sometimes remove certain results that it might think is, not safe for work kinds of stuff, and sometimes it won't. Then the Google results, page, you can go ahead and change those. With Google Instant on, you can only have 10 results show. But if you turn off Google Instant, you can actually make that up to 100 results on the page. Of course, the more results that you have on the page, the more likely you're going to find what you're looking for on the first page of your search engine results. If you increase the number of pages, though, the number of results, though, understand that it's slower. So markedly slower, actually. So as you go from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 100, you'll notice the page will slow down dramatically. Okay, so your results will become slower. The faster the search is the 10 results, and of course, hopefully with your advanced search tools now, you'll find what you're looking for faster in those first 10 results. Okay. The spoken answers, you have the ability to search by voice, which means that back at the search engine search page, I'll show you momentarily, I can activate a voice search, meaning that I can just speak to Google if my computer or laptop or device has a microphone attached to it. So I don't even have to type anything, I can just say what I'm looking for. And also, you can choose for Google to open up your search results in a new tab or a new browser window, okay? And you dictate that by what you tell the browser to do, so the browsers can force a new tab, but otherwise it opens a new window, okay? And so those are your search results page. You would then press Save to remember them and get back out. But of course, the save settings are for when you're logged into Google. So you have to have a Google account. That doesn't mean you have to have a Gmail account. You just have to have a Google account, which can be any email address, or a Google Apps account or a Gmail account that you then are signed into. Okay, so I'm going to click on cancel, but you would click on saved in order to save those settings. Next in the gear icon options, we talked about language, save search, and so forth. Here goes the option for jumping directly to your advanced search. If you ever can't remember, the advanced search URL, just click on the advanced search, and from the search box, it will go ahead and give you the options to go ahead and do that within the advanced search. And then, of course, you can see your own search history by clicking on the history icon under the history option under the gear icon. Okay, so here we are. We've gone over sort of the basics of the search, and now let's talk about some of the operators. Now, Google is really cool because this gives us some really great functionality. So first and foremost, Google does math, and that's really helpful for some of us who might be mathematically challenged. But it does some really complicated math. For instance, if I wanted to know the mass of the Earth, okay, all I have to do is type in m_Earth, and notice that it just gave me literally the mass of Earth, which is 5.97219 times 10 to the 24th power kilograms. Now that might be very geeky, but for some people, you might need the mass of certain kinds of planetary bodies or certain masses of very known objects. And so you can just type those in and see if Google already has done the math for you. Maybe Washington Monument or something like that, where you wanted to know what the mass of it is, and it can tell you that very quickly. But it does simple math. So if we want to know 4 plus 5, we know that Google can, of course, go ahead and give us that response. And you notice that when I type in the mathematical equation, it automatically gives me not only the response, but it also pops open the Google calculator. Okay, most people don't know this exists, but this is an advanced scientific calculator, and so it can do cosine, log, it can do exponentials, it can give us all of the various roots of things. So the Google calculator is here and very easy to use. Of course, if we wanted to, we can continue to type in some of the Google operators to launch the calculator. So if I wanted the reciprocal of the number 23, you could see that it would go ahead and do that calculation for me. All right, so various mathematical tools and options. If I wanted something to a power, I can just do 2 to the power of 7, and you can see that, again, it launches the calculator and gives me the power answer. Okay, so 2 to the power of 7 is 128, and voila. Now, if you have a calculator on your phone, or you don't have one on your phone, well, now you can just delete it because you know that Google can do that for you without you having to really think about anything, and you can pretty much write it in natural language. So in most cases, you can write 2 to the power of 7, and it will automatically know, because you've typed it in natural language, that you're looking for a math equation outcome. Okay, so you're looking for what that means. So it can be very helpful. Okay, so Google does math. Plus, minus, for times, you would use the star. Okay, so 2, asterisk 7, or you can literally put 2 times 7, and it will, of course, again launch the calculator. So 2 times 7 divided, you'd use the /. If you were using a percentage, you would just type in percentage of. If you've ever been in the store, or if you're talking on the phone and you're trying to negotiate a contract with a client, and you want to say, I'm going to give you 10% of my $2,000 contract, well, voila, Google immediately gives you the amount that you're going to have to net out of as a discount. So you immediately know the $2,000, $200 is my discount, and therefore it equals $1,800 in my pocket. Okay, so we have those, all kinds of other kinds of math, advanced math. I'm not going to get into any more of the really advanced maths, but know that they exist. But I do want to talk about units of measure, because I know we have a lot of retail shops, bakeries, and other kinds of stores and shops that might be doing some kinds of units of measurement. So if you need to do conversions, for instance, if you have a desire to move something from a mass to weight, so say I needed to know 200 pounds to kilograms, basically converting to metric. Notice that immediately the metric, the converter, the Google converter picks up basically the units of measure and conversions calculator kicks in. And so you can see that I can do temperature, lengths, mass, speed, volume, areas, fuel consumption, time, and storage. So if I wanted to turn one time into another particular time, I could go ahead and do that. As well, I can type in here 5 p.m. In Rome, okay? And so 5 p.m. in Rome, it'll automatically, it should not do that. Oh, I think it needs Rome time. Nope. Oh, well, one of these should do this. Okay, let's see. Let's use something that I do know. So here, it gives it to me. So 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to Eastern Standard Time. And you can see that it, of course, pulls up a bunch of pages, but it should actually be giving us a conversion. Well, some things just don't work sometimes. All right, either way, play around with it. It should be able to convert time zones to one another, as well as being able to, you know, changing maths and lengths and other kinds of time. All right. Then,
Ray, can
yes.
it do square footage for home renovations?
Yes, you should be able to do square footage. So let's just pull back up oops, there we go. So here goes area, and so you can take a square foot and say if you have, you know, 115 square feet in a small room, you can of course then go ahead and change those to square kilometers or whatever, square yards or square inches, those kinds of things. Absolutely. So you can go ahead and do those searches right within the area section. And so I showed you constants. So it knows the speed of light. You know, so c is the speed of light. And so, you know, if you just ask it for what the speed of light is, you know, you'll get responses and gives you certain kinds of things. But I think you should be able to just type this in and it should just give you the speed of light. Well, it's giving me Citigroup's stock ticker symbols, which is getting ahead of itself, but that's another thing. So let's talk about it while it's actually doing it. So here we can type in almost any stock ticker symbol, and it will automatically, of course, go ahead and give us the stock ticker symbol. So you can see that Google is down $4 today, 4 points, I'm sorry, today. And so it's down, you know, just a little bit more than $4.34. And so we go ahead and we can see that over a month. You know, we can look at the stock over, and you can see that over the last month it's been doing pretty well. And because of Google I/O that's happening today, it's certainly it did really well yesterday because of all the announcements of the new gadgets and technology that it's putting out. And you can see over 3 months what it looks like, and you can see over 3 months it's been up. You can see over a year. You can see that it had a high sometime in mid-February, or late February, I mean, and it's a little bit lower now, but still higher than it was a year ago. And so you can see all of the various types of Google stock information, and it looks across those stock ticker symbols across many different stock trading centers, you know, stock exchanges. So you can do that across the Nikkei or any of the other ones as well. All right, so so you can just type those in. You can type in Microsoft, and you can see Microsoft's is there. And then, of course, if you do that across the month, you can see that they're up across the month. You can see over 3 months, they're up across 3 months. You can look at that across a year, and you can see that they're actually up across a year from a year ago. So I'm seeing that you can start to see trends across multiple different you know, stocks by looking at these quick trading items. And you can see that it's real time. I don't know if you just saw that, but it just clicked down because every couple of minutes it goes ahead and updates this. So you can see it moved just again. So it's actually in near real time. So it actually gives you some really good information regarding that. Okay, so we talked about physical constants. We talked about math operators. We talked about the calculator and some of the operator means. Okay, so let's talk about some of the more specialized queries that we can do, and then we'll talk about the various silos that we can look in. But I want to talk about these first. Okay, so first and foremost, we can look at flights. So if I wanted to book a flight, I can type in book flights from LaGuardia to let's say ATL, which is the Atlanta airport. Okay, and you can see below the ads the Google Flights data silo. You see Google has all these various different data silos that they're plugging in. They've gone ahead and given us now all the various flights for these particular dates. Now I can choose my dates. I can say I want to fly out on Monday and I want to get back on Thursday, and there we go. So these are the various prices that are afforded to me that are available. I can look at more flights. It tells me the airlines. It tells me the dates and times that they're coming, and it of course tells me whether it's round trip, solo, one way that is, and or a non-stop flight with multiple stops or those kinds of things. So really quick and fast, I can immediately book a flight from Google just by typing in book flights from airport to airport. You could just even write the city. I could say San Francisco to Los Angeles, and it would just go ahead and know what I'm doing. As long as I typed in book flights from, it knows the rest. Okay? So I can book flights. I can search books. So if I was looking for a particular book or something else like that, I could go ahead and type in book and then the particular book that I was looking for. So I'm just going to pick a book out of the air. Say let's do 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. And you can see here that it immediately looks up all the various books in its network, and you can see that it doesn't have the book in its own network. If it has the book in its own network, then it would have gone to Google Books, which is here. And you can see here that it goes ahead and looks at various books in its own network, and you can search in here as well. So if the book was in here, it would automatically jump to those and look for it. Okay, so a couple things. We're running out of time, and I want to make sure we have, if we have any questions, I can answer those. So one thing that's really important is to understand caching. So say, for instance, I'm looking for a particular website, say the VW website again. I can type in cache:/vw.com, and Google will automatically look for the current snapshot of the page that they have for Volkswagen. So this happens often when somebody's website disappears for some reason. Maybe you found a website once upon a time, and that web page is all of a sudden gone, and you want to find out what that current page, what that website looked like once upon a time. So you can click on text-only version, which gives us a text version of the page if you're just trying to scan for some type of text content, or you can go ahead and look at the snapshot that Google's done. So basically, Google goes ahead and indexes the pages, but they actually also pull a cache, okay? And they keep a cache at this webcache.googleusercontent.com, and they have a cache of all the websites across the web that they've indexed, okay? Now, they don't go there every day, but every so often they go back and look for them, all right? Now, I'm just going to jump off of Google for a moment to show you the Internet Archive. So in the Internet Archive, it's if you go to archive.org/web, you can actually use the same type of tool. In this case, this is the Wayback Machine, and the Internet Archive has the ability for you to go back in time. And so, say that VW website that we just looked at. Notice that's one snapshot that Google has done, and Google only keeps that one past shot, okay, one past snapshot. But if I type in the VW.com here, you can see that the Wayback Machine has indexed and saved 1,931 versions of VW.com going all the way back to 1996. What I recommend you do is to potentially do this to your own business website and to see its change over time. You can see the history of the website over time. It's very, very interesting, and quite honestly, you can see what kinds of content you've had on there, and this is one of the reasons why we always say that nothing really ever dies on the web, because, well, there are things like the Internet Archive that indexes everything forever. So if the Google's cache doesn't have it, check out the Wayback Machine. Check out archive.org/web and search for a website or a specific page, and it will go ahead and look for those pages. So you can see here it shows you not only every date in its range that it's gone back and looked at those pages, but it tells you the time of day that it took the snapshot, and then it actually takes you back to those pages. So if we go back to 2001, we go back to February 1st, 2001, we can, of course, go ahead and see the Volkswagen website on that day in 2001. to see what it looked like, and you can see it right there. So you can see the older style to it in 2001. You can see even the change in today's design styles from the 2001 trends that were happening, and you can see the website back then. Okay, that's Internet Archive. Let's go back to Google's search page. So we did cache. We talked about file type, but I can type in file type, and of course I can choose PDF, and I can type in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People again. And you can see that Google will likely give me bunches of copies of PDF versions of the 7 Habits. Maybe they're summaries of the book, maybe they're essays that people have written or reviews they've written about the 7 Habits, and there they are all under there. But notice they all are annotated with PDF because they are PDF documents. When you click on this, it's going to open up a PDF. As you can see, it just did. Okay? Weather. We won't get into it, but you can, of course, type in weather, basically type in weather and any zip code or city, state, country, whatever. It'll tell you the weather for it. And you can also type in all sorts of other fun information when you type. You can find all sorts of fun information when you type in related. So if I go to the search field and I type in related, and if I type in, again, vw.com, what it's going to do is it's going to look at all the websites that are similar to vw.com, which of course are a bunch of other automobile manufacturers. So you can see that if you type in related to something that you're looking for, say you're looking for a particular thing in your own professional industry, and you know one website that does it, say I'm looking for something to replace Dropbox. So I'm going to take related:/Dropbox.com. Well, lo and behold, here goes a bunch of other services that are, related to, similar to Dropbox. So Box and SugarSync and WeTransfer are all of them. They give us some websites about Dropbox and so on and so forth. But those first 3 results are basically because it's looking for something similar to Dropbox. So you can do that with any website. So if you know one tool, you can lead yourself into the others. Okay, so I've gone over a lot of different kinds of, information. I don't want to go any further because then we'll get a little bit more complicated. Oh, I did tell you I was going to show you this. So this is the voice search. I can't activate it because my microphone is currently being used for the webinar, but if I clicked on this, it would automatically open up the ability for me to just speak a search directly into the Google search. This also happens in Google image search, meaning that I can actually drag an image to the toolbar. I can't, again, do that on this computer either, but if I took a file here, from my Explorer and just literally dragged it onto the field, it would look at the image and would actually render searches for analysis of the image. It would look at the image and it would try to find other images related to it. So with that, I'm gonna close out, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to hang around and answer any questions that anyone might have. So I'm going to hand this back over to Tracy for any questions, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Ray. Well, I'm going to sum it up with the comment, which is, love this, fascinating information. I'm going to have some fun with this new knowledge. Thank you so much. I even learned stuff today. I had no idea that you could drag an image into the search bar. Very, very cool. But we did have a question. Is there a list of all those words that you've been talking about that you can put in that search field with Google that then interprets the related, all of that?
Yes, there are lots of areas where you can do this. If you go to Google's support page, if you just go to support.google.com and type in search operators, Google has a whole page of them where it will tell you all of the ones that we've talked about today and more. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll actually be putting together a small guide for this and posting it to the website. So if you just check back on the website in a couple of weeks, I'll actually have a Google search operator guide that I'm putting together because I do get this question very, very often. But right now, if you just go to Google's help, support.google.com, you can go ahead and type in search operators. And of course, you could type in search operators into Google, and it will likely give you a list of all the search operators there as well.
Great. In the question on the W3 website for the search operators, yes.
Yes, so w3cinc.com. In a couple of weeks, we'll have up a guide for the search operators.
We don't have any more questions, and we've reached the top of the hour. So thanks, everyone, for participating today. Today's webinar was recorded and will be posted on the Virginia SBDC website under Live Webinars and Recordings. Tomorrow, you'll be receiving a follow-up email on the webinar, and there'll be an evaluation link in that email. I've also put that in the chat window if you want to go ahead and fill that out now. It'll help us to continue our training if you take the time to complete the evaluation. Thanks everyone again for participating. See you on July 10th for project management on the web. Thank you. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.